We still tell stories about those days for a reason. After the world fell apart, before we rebuilt it, the men and women of the frontier survived against the odds, against nature and against themselves. Nowadays, when we feel that things in our lives are difficult, we can draw strength from the heroes of Turtle Island. We need to know that Dr. Hanover was wild and mean and out of control before she showed our parents and grandparents the way to reason and peace. She was far from perfect, but for better or worse, she led us here. It's important for you to understand that she started out at odds with Master-at-Arms Rogers, but on the night of the siege, they shared something deep and meaningful. They both saw the traumatized warrior in each other and forged a bond stronger than most of us can understand, even though they only know each other. Their friendship. When last we left Dr. Hanover at the fort of Turtle Island, she and Master Rogers had survived the night, protecting the fort from the marauding hot animal machines, becoming comrades in the process. Their numbers decimated, the invaders chose not to flee, but to make camp outside of rifle range and harass the fort, to make it impossible to graze their livestock and impossible to leave. Eager to leave above any other motivation, Dr. Hanover reluctantly agreed to deliver poisoned opium to the hot animals as a decoy, deadly tribute. Unbeknownst to anyone, Master Rogers had begun to rely increasingly on medicinal opium for the pain of a wound he received in Chapter 1. In his shame, he secretly stole some of the poisoned opium and only came to understand his potentially fatal error as he is asked to protect Hanover on her delivery run. Now we find ourselves staring down the barrel of Chapter 4, Heroic. The physician remains the killer, the warrior becomes her patient, and a new threat is found among the bones of the old.
Hey everybody, and sorry, that was a little glitch there, but welcome to another episode of UHS Presents. And with me today is, as always, my trusty co-host, Lori.
Hey!
I guess technically you weren't here last time, were you? Because you had internet troubles for like the first half. That was good times. Good now, though. You look good, so everything looks good. So today we also have a bunch of special guests, but first we're gonna bring on the man with the plan, Johnny Pence.
Ooh, a plan. Yeah, I've got one.
Well, Aston on looks like Twitch is already saying hello UHS, hello UHS chat. So we already got comments rolling in here, but first, before we get into the meat and potatoes of our conversation here, let's talk about the surging Kickstarter really quick. Where are we at, guys?
Close. Let's see, what are we at? Last time I checked, 6,267, just a couple bucks short of the goal.
Very close to goal, very close. So get in there and make your pledges, because we have some really cool prizes, and I'm going to put them up on the screen now because I figured out how to do that in this program. So let's look at them.
Hey!
T-shirts, Lori. What level does this T-shirt get you, or what do you have to pledge to get a shirt?
It is available as an add-on, but it's also available. You're putting me on the spot at the $70 tier.
Come on, I told you we were gonna do this.
I didn't know you were gonna ask me tier numbers.
Not ready either. Well, you know, I gotta keep you on your toes. Anyway, let's flip through these here quick because we got some guests and people want to talk about the apocalypse. So we got this really awesome. This is just the design. This isn't the actual coin, of course. For the next Rogers coin, which is going to look similar to this one. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and this one looks freaking amazing. So we're good to on that. And then here's the cover options for the Surgeon Chapter 4. So they look pretty amazing as well. And I've got one other thing here to show. The dog tags, which I think is my favorite. I really want a set.
That's pretty fly.
Tags. They're awesome. All right. So let's get started here. We have an apocalypse expert today. So let's bring on Felipe Cagno. Am I doing it? I've got the fingers. You have to say the last name with the fingers. I was told that specifically. Hello, Felipe.
Hands.
The hands. And we also have not a comic book guy. We have a ham radio nerd with us today.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Hello.
Jeffrey's going to tell us a little about ham radio. So, first of all, hey, so Felipe, I heard you got a Kickstarter happening here soon. Can you hear us?
I do. It's not post-apocalyptic. No, it's actually. Well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit because it's a very raw, a very important. It is a very tragic graphic novel. So I've teamed up with Anthony Zeiker. He's the creator of the TV show CSI. And he was born and raised in Las Vegas, and he was personally affected by the mass shootings that took place back in 2017, October 1st. And he really wanted to do something to mark that and not let it be swept under the rug, like a memorial with compensation for the victims' families, like a fund of some sorts. And the powers that be did exactly that. They just wanted to sweep that under the rug and make sure that the Las Vegas image was not connected to that tragic event that happened in 2017. So Anthony just decided to, I'm just going to do what I know I can do, which is write a story about it. And that's One Eye Jack. He wrote this. It's more of an essay. Like he's got all these visuals, and it's a commentary on morals and human scenes. It's a very powerful story, and I teamed up with him because he wanted to translate into a comic book format. So that's where I came in. So I took his essay, I don't know, like 100-page document, and I've been putting that into like a script book format, or comic book script format, and then I brought in Brazilian artist Brown to do the watercolors for it. So that's One Eye Jack. You can find it on Kickstarter. We are fully funded. We're knocking out some stretch goals. And actually, that's One Eye Jack number 2. Number 1, we Kickstarter a couple of years ago. But, if you go online, you can grab both volumes in a combo. So that's One Eye Jack.
Oh, fabulous. Well, that sounds really cool. So, okay, let's catch up on some comments here very quickly. Katie says hi. Hi, Katie. Katie's our good friend. So Astian, Facebook isn't even saying it's live yet, so that's cool. That was like a minute after we started, so that's awesome. Heather is being a star and posting the Kickstarter links in the comments there. Paul Henson says, "Evening, hey Paul."
Hey, Paul.
Zen
Hello.
Jedi. Is that also Heather?
Yes.
On Twitter. She's being all sneaky there with her. She's like logged in 2 different places. So, all right, we're Stephen Lightman. Oh, it says it's live on Facebook just now. Wow, that was like 12 minutes, 14 minutes. Holy cow!
Not untrue.
Oh my gosh, Facebook is amazing, right? Anyway, all right, so let's talk about apocalypses. First off, I thought maybe we should start with some practical information about what we would do in the event of a real disaster, which is why we brought on Jeff, the ham radio nerd. Jeff, so you do ham radio, and this involves a group of ham radio operators that also operate what is called Aries. That is an emergency net, so emergency group of people. So let's start out with, what is ham radio? Can you tell us about ham radio?
Well, it's a hobby that brings electronics guys, communication guys, and doomsday preppers all together, and we have lots of fun. You can use ham radio to talk just across town, across the world, and even to satellites in outer space. You can actually contact the International Space Station if you want for fun. And everyone in the hobby is super friendly. It's a great hobby to get involved in.
And so the signal like bounces off the ionosphere and goes all the way around the world, right? Or at least about halfway. Is that right?
Yeah, with the HF communication, yeah, it will bounce off the ionosphere. Yep, and that's how you get the worldwide communication. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
that's cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's so when you get into the guts of it, it seems like it's going to be so boring, but it never is for me. Like I don't understand half of what you're talking about when you talk about it, but it's always so interesting. Anyway, so can you tell us, what is the story behind ham radio? Why is it called ham radio?
Well, it's sort of it's kind of debated among lots of people. My favorite is that it was just one of those words that got repurposed, and it used to mean something. It used to mean like not of professional skill. You may have heard ham-fisted before. In the pejorative term, and when you're operating a telegraph, there are still some guys, a lot of guys that are doing Morse code telegraphs on the ham radio bands, and the type of the kind of the manner of their tapping is called their fist. So that's where the ham-fisted kind of comes together, and so it kind of fell out of favor for it kind of fell out of favor for a while, and then it came back, and hams just kind of glommed onto it, and it's badge of honor now.
And so it's lost its derogatory meaning, right?
Yes,
it's
yes.
not a ham radio operator anymore. Okay. So I know that there's licenses that you have to get a license in order to be a ham radio operator. Otherwise, the FBI is going to bust down your door or something. I don't know. But yeah. So can you tell me just quickly, what are the license levels, and like what are the license levels, and then what are you? What license level are you?
Well, there's first of all, I'll just say quick that you only need a license to transmit. You can get a receiver and listen to the ham radio guys talk all day if you want. The license levels are a technician, general, and extra. I'm at the extra level right now. They are written they're not written tests, they're multiple choice tests. You can, and the extra one has got the most questions, so it's the hardest.
So technician's the most basic, and then general is like the middle, and extra is the top level. Yeah,
and they kind of, the harder tests are because if you don't know what you're doing, you can really screw with some important services that are on the air. So it's just to kind of get you up to speed, so you don't mess with anything you shouldn't.
That's pretty ideal technology for a world crippling event, though. I mean, all you need is a power source and some vacuum tubes, right? I mean, are we still talking about vacuum tubes and like?
Yeah, you can. There's lots of like many hobbies. There's many ways to do them. There's lots of transmitters out there that still use vacuum tubes. At the swap meets, you'll see guys. I went with a guy that was selling vacuum tubes still. But any HF transmitter you buy now, it's mostly just no vacuum tubes, just regular silicone transistors.
We got a couple of comments here. The True Rift on YouTube said, "I am exceptionally disappointed that ham radio does not involve pigs. I was too when he told me."
Anything can involve ham if you work at it. It's okay.
Especially in the apocalypse. Come on.
We could probably connect it somehow. Let's work on that for like the next episode or something. Stephen Lightman says, and here I thought it derived from amateur. Now that's actually another theory, right? Because we don't really know why, but the most popular one is the ham-fisted one. But it could also be ham, because I know you told me the sports writers in England called amateur athletes AMs. So, and then they'll say that in an English Cockney accent, AM. Yeah, sure. So it makes sense to me. Michael J. Dolan says, my late grandfather, and by extension Zach's, was really into ham radio. He always said it was a corruption of amateur radio. If I recall correctly, he picked it up while he was in the Navy in World War II.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that
one.
Cool. I mean, I've heard several different reasons about or theories about where the name ham came from.
Oh, the name, yeah.
Heard, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, in the event the world falls, the right thing to do is we all go to Jeff's place, and if that's the case, Jeff, can you text us your house address, please?
I'll send that to you in private chat. All right.
Well, you can always tell like the ham radio people in your town because they have like antennas on their truck,
hanging out their windows and on their roofs.
That's a good tip. So in the case of an apocalypse, always look for the antennas.
The big ass antennas.
Big antennas, freaky antennas, not dishes, but like old school, like coat hangers.
Sticks hanging. Yeah.
I anticipate a lot of people climbing up those Verizon, antennas on the
road. Rift on YouTube says, if you manage to power your ham radio set via potato battery, would it be a yam radio?
Oh.
That's one. One.
I don't know. Do we give prizes for terrible jokes? I feel like we should.
The best dad joke. I mean, hey, you're the lady with all the stuff. So if you want to give him a prize for that good dad joke, then it was a pretty good one. It was a pretty good dad joke.
For what it's worth, you can run some radios off of 1 watt of power. It's possible.
Really?
Yeah.
So even in a situation where you're making generators out of old electric motors that are powered by, moonshine's distilled gas, you could still have your ham radio going.
Yeah, and another hobby that a lot of ham radio guys are into is just being prepared in the event of a event of power outage. So they probably have some batteries, they probably have some solar panels. They're ready to go.
Nice. Katie says that my dad used to do ham radio, but he lost interest. I think we still have the stuff for it here somewhere. Probably, and it's probably worth a little money if it's the good stuff.
Well, keep it for the apocalypse.
Yeah. That stuff.
And text us your address.
Yes,
you don't need a license when everything is falling apart. You're not going to interfere with any crucial services.
That's true.
Just crank it all the way up.
That's fair. Michael Dolan on Facebook says, my grandfather had a 2-story tall antenna tower in his backyard that looked like a miniature version of the one on the old RKO Pictures logo.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would be big. Tall.
I remember climbing one of those when I was a little kid and getting in trouble. Like, don't do that, you'll knock it down. It's expensive.
I have an old ass one of them TV towers with like the triangular. It's like a triangular stand. I have one of those on my house. It was there when I bought it, and I never did anything with it. And I was just thinking now, like, that's where we're gonna put the antenna if the apocalypse happens and I'm in my house and I get to stay there.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, so where were we? We were talking about ham radio. We want to know. Okay, I mentioned Aries before. What is Aries?
All right, so Aries is probably the closest thing to the ham radio, the organized guys for responding in the case of an emergency. It stands for Amateur Radio Emergency Service. The ham radio guys register all their radios with a local emergency coordinator, so they can be called upon in case of an emergency. They usually meet. They usually find us at ham radio clubs, and we sign up. And we meet my local net meets every month or so on the air. No, we meet weekly on the air, and then every month at the local emergency operations center to just go over procedures and how to pass traffic in the case of an emergency, and the general news that's going on in the organization.
Okay, so this is like ARES is what is the service that would kick into gear if there was some kind of local or national or maybe even worldwide disaster that would knock out our regular forms of communication?
Well, ARES is U.S. based, so I mean they're probably not going to scale up to the world level, but yeah, that is will get activated. I got one thing that comes to mind is localized disasters like a train derailment. In that sort of situation, especially here in the Mississippi River Valley, you might not have good coverage across the whole scene of an accident. Those can be very long accident scenes, and so ham radio operators might set up a centralized repeating antenna that everyone can talk to, and then it repeats down to everybody else. So that's one way that ARES would help out.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. And I've seen a couple of those train derailments in my life, and those things are like, you hear the word train derailment, you think of Captain America when the whole thing just explodes and falls off the bridge, but they're actually really horrifying to see in person. I mean, usually there's not.
I did one. I caused one.
Really?
One. Okay, story time. How did you cause one?
It was an accident. I was a kid, but
Were you putting pennies on the track?
That's what I was going to ask.
So it was back in Brazil, and it was three of us kids. We were like 8 or 9, and we were just monkeying around in the train, and we were literally jumping from one seat to another, and from one and I accidentally, it was not my intention, I jumped and I held the emergency brake when we were at a curve. So the train, it wasn't serious. Nobody died. Everything was fine. Like we were late to go into the station by a few hours, and that's it.
So I thought those trains.
I wasn't even with my dad. So what happened was we were with someone else's parents, and then my dad was waiting for me at the station. This was back in the 90s. And then my dad had to wait there for a few hours, and then the train was late. And then when we finally arrived, my dad was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" It was before cell phones, it was before, Wi-Fi, internet. And then, the mom that was with us, she was like, "Yeah, your kid, like your son, he derailed the train."
Oh my God.
I think it's probably the biggest stunt I ever pulled as a kid, or adult for that matter, as a grown-up as well. But yeah.
I always thought the cord was just like a dinger bell to go up to the conductor. Or
no, it was the lever, the emergency brake lever. Actually,
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was a thing 30 years ago, the thing is, like, I vividly remember the red lever. I was like, "Ooh, red lever, boom."
Been like perfect timing too. If you weren't going around a curve, it probably wouldn't have. Nothing would have happened except the train would have stopped.
It was fine. They just had to put the train back.
Yeah.
You understand the fuss,
Wow. I like. So the show is done. Like, what can we do after that?
Thank you for derailing that train, and thank you for telling that story.
Sure. I actually I wear like a badge of honor. I think it has the same effect like the ham expression, you know.
Yeah.
But for you personally, like I mean, I wish
Yes.
I wish I could say that for me as well, but I did not derail any trains.
Well, and so, thinking about these kind of scenarios after something falls apart, communication was, a huge thing for, when I was world building. It never even occurred to me that ham radio was like so durable. I bet.
Oh, yeah.
I bet ham, I had to take what I knew about electronics and kind of deconstruct and like build new things out of garbage technology, but that's easy. Ham radio.
Well, in Felipe's story, the few and cursed, it's a little different, right? Like in terms of technology, you don't really have a lot.
Yeah, it was like 1800s when
the thing with the few and curse, I wasn't even thinking about an apocalypse for that book. The way that came to be was, so Fabiano, the artist, he approached me to do a Western. And I wasn't always the biggest Western fan. Like I had studied in film school and I had seen the classics. But like I didn't want to paint myself in a corner that I needed to follow certain rules of the genre if I didn't know the genre all that well. So I was like, you know what? Instead of doing that, I'm just going to give it my own twist and do my own thing so I don't have to worry about, breaking any rules. And so that's how the very first Few and Cursed story we did was like a 3-page story. It brought supernatural elements to it. And when we decided to do the actual, okay, so we're gonna build a world for this character and see where that goes, that was when I started to realize, okay, so how do I explain the supernatural in the Old West? And at the time, we were going through a terrible hydraulic crisis in Brazil. Like literally, like every single day, we would have water for like an hour of the day. And then like certain neighborhoods, like, oh, so your hour with water is like 3 p.m. The other neighborhoods 4 p.m. So like there was like a rotation. And that inspired me to do a world without water. So, and then there was another problem. Oh, so, okay, so how can I justify this world having no water? I'll just, make up some apocalyptic thing. Boom. Poof, disappear. Nobody knows what happened. And for me, what's interesting about the world we're creating with the Few and Cursed is that it's not a post-apocalyptic reality. It's just reality. And I wanted to make sure that enough time had passed that the generation that now lives in this world doesn't really have memories of what it was. So they don't want to revert back because they don't know how things work. So that sort of explains how the lack of technology in my post-apocalyptic world is just because it happened in the Old West. And I also found that very interesting as well. Because like whenever we think about post-apocalypse, we always think about our society collapsing and then things happening from that point forward. But I thought it was very interesting. It was like, oh, okay, what if the world ended back in the Old West? And without water, there was no more progress. There was no more advances in technology. And so that's the world of the Few and Cursed.
That's pretty cool. I am a little ashamed to admit I did not know of Few and Cursed before. I think we were putting together this episode, and Lori and John were both like, we should see if we can get the guy that wrote the Few and the Cursed. And I was like, what?
What is the Few and the Cursed?
Like, I don't know what this is, but now I'm like, I have to read this. I have to see.
You really do.
I love that
Thanks,
stuff.
I appreciate that, and thank you, Laura and Johnny, for bringing me over. I love geeking out about this stuff.
Yes, all I said was like, do we know anybody else who did an apocalypse comic? And then they both were like, well, I wonder. And so yeah, that's how that happened.
If somebody had to, Felipe, in your world, could they send a telegram?
Yes, that's still in place. Actually, yes, the Telegram, I haven't explored the whole Telegram thing, but last year, actually this year, like we kickstarted late 2019, and then we sent it to printer last year. And because of COVID, I was only able to fulfill the Kickstarter the last couple of months. But there's a new Feeling Cursed book called Shadow Nation, which follows exactly a postwoman, and her job is to, go around taking and carrying letters from place to place. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you still have forms of communication, but obviously no Morse code. Or I never thought about telegrams, but I guess telegrams and posts is the same in a way.
As long as the wires are up, it should be good. But maybe the wires are not up. Maybe people scavenge them. I don't know.
You just gave me something. I appreciate that. Thank you.
See, we're thinking about stuff.
That is really very good. Yeah.
That's what goes on in here. Like when I'm at a stoplight all the time.
Hey, I'm just writing the new Feeling Cursed arc. Believe me, I'm gonna have people back up those posts. I'm gonna plant that seed. It's very good. Very smart. I literally had not thought about it. Like just the posting. So post office is still a thing, and that works.
Awesome. Katie on Facebook wants to know, back to the train incident. What was your parents' reaction? Like, were they mad?
My dad was at the station waiting for me. But he's a very discreet, very, he's not one to throw tantrums. So he just behaved like, I think it's the scariest of behaviors in parenting, which is like, we'll talk about this when we get home. That's so you're gonna get it,
Oh boy.
My mom, on the other hand, she's the tantrum one. She would start slapping probably me around, like doing like the whole. But I remember my dad's reaction not as much as my mom's, because at the station that was the scariest thing I could hear. So I remember getting grounded. I don't remember getting slapped around. So I should give my parents both that, But I was grounded for sure. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's.
And it wasn't my fault. A red lever should be better protected. It was just there.
Yeah, I agree.
Or anything, it should have at least said, "Don't pull except in emergency" or something.
Well, it doesn't matter if it said "Don't pull." I was a kid. It should have been like break the glass thing situations. I wouldn't have broken the glass.
Yeah, that's the barrier.
Fair enough. I agree with that.
I'm innocent, I am innocent.
So,
I agree. Like, you can't help that. That's.
Thank you.
I'm inclined to agree. Like, yeah, I mean, they should have been expecting that if they were allowing kids on the train in the first place.
Yep.
I'm saying, they're kids. Like, kids are the most inventive, imaginative. Nobody can get in trouble like a little kid. So,
yeah. And if you put something shiny and you say, "Don't touch the shiny," like, they're going to touch it.
Like Heather says in the chat, like a red flag to a bull.
Yeah, Heather just said.
I will probably pull something shiny if it said "Don't pull it" right now, and I'm 37.
Me too.
A buddy of mine owns a bar, and behind the bar, there's the power comes in from the pole into a big box with a big red lever. That's one of those like Dr. Frankenstein pull it down switch levers. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to him and I said, "You realize what a nice guy I am." It didn't have a lock on it or anything. Like you see what I'm faced with, the temptation you put in front of my face. And he went and locked it right after that.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. So in the surgeon, this is coming at you now, John.
Okay.
Surgeon, we are way beyond the use of ham radio and stuff for communication. Like, it is so far past that, and we don't in the surgeon proper series, we don't even know how the apocalypse started, right?
Right. Well,
Or yet,
it's not like spoilery, but I didn't want to dwell on it. I mean, what happened was the weather just got so bad, and so the idea came to me like back in the early 2000s. There were a lot of news stories about unused nuclear missiles that were just kind of rotting in their silos.
Mm-hmm.
That can't be good. So yeah, like the combination of global warming and climate change causing unpredictable weather and radiation, blowing radiation around with crazy weather. The people who could afford it went underground. And the people who couldn't are stuck up top. And so we're not beyond electrical things. Like in Turtle Island, you don't see it much, but they have windmills to create electricity. They have, anytime you have an electric motor, you can turn it into a generator. You just turn it the other way. So they can turn on power. Even the hot animals have moonshine stills to make gas if they need it. So it's not inaccessible. It's just not easy to get. You got to have your shit together if you want electricity.
Specifically in Turtle Island, there's not a ton of need for because everybody's right there. So
yeah.
Not a ton of need for like a ham radio type situation or like cell phones or anything.
No, communication a lot is done with flags.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that in chapter 1 when there was an abandoned cell phone tower symbol, with a whole bunch of flags flying on it. The line of sight between cell towers, you could run flags to run like kind of want ads, and that's what the doctor responded to, was a flag asking for a doctor. And in this episode, she comes out from the fort to talk with the bad guys with a black flag, and that was ship-to-ship communication for unarmed communication. Let's have a parlay.
Okay.
And so like I figure people who are still alive are capable, have some research capacity. There is an internet still up. It's underground. We'll see that.
Because the people with money all set up that shit up, right?
Yeah. So there is an internet. You can tap into it if you have an old iMac and you're like right over top of it. It's underneath of you. Anyway, that's this thing that happens later.
All right. Don't get too spoily. Anyway, what we do see in the surgeon that is an extremely useful skill is sword fighting skill. Yes. And you are a sword fighting sort of guy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like what kind of sword would we want in the event of an apocalypse?
Yeah, something you're comfortable with, and something that's not going to break. So
how do I sword break?
Yeah, they do. Easy.
I
was
about swords, really. I mean, I know a little bit about knives because I grew up on a farm, but
right.
Swords it's different. It's just different.
Yeah, so I figure there are still bullets and people can still reload. Like you could go to what used to be a Walmart and take the reloading supplies back if you could fight for them. And in the siege, they break out the weapons locker. They use the bullets that they've been saving. They haven't used them up until then.
Mm-hmm.
So weapons are there, but bows and arrows and melee combat weapons are going to be available. If you or I were to just walk out into the middle of an apocalypse, a stick or something that you're not going to cut yourself with would probably be the best, right? Because you can still beat the crap out of somebody. You can break their sword. A stick is a good one. But yeah, so swords would be swords take a little bit of finesse and they take a little bit of skill unless you're just going to start hacking. If you're just going to start hacking, then somebody who knows what they're doing can take advantage of that.
Right.
What kind of sword would you want? What you have practiced with? One edge is easier, like Dr. Hanover's saber. Two edges is one's pointing back at you. That's a little bit scary. So I think I wrote about this in our what's the service Discord, that it's kind of a joke to me that she's so good with the saber, because what you would train for is to be good with the straight sword with two edges in our tradition that we Dr. Hanover and I practice.
So if the world falls, we first go to Johnny's place,
Sure.
fetch him, and then use him to guide us to Jeff's.
I will
Right?
give you a weapon and teach you how to use it.
All right.
Excellent.
So what do you two girls have to offer to our little merry band of the apocalypse? I got nothing. I can finish.
I live with Jeff, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I live in the mountains, like in the Rocky Mountains in the middle of nowhere, and we have a lot of guns.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
There we go. Sorry, Johnny.
No problem.
So we have a good spot, like in case there's zombies, we have some guns.
I have Cheez-It. I have a lot of Cheez-It in the house. I love Cheez-It. I'm never without Cheez-It.
And that stuff will definitely last through the apocalypse.
Exactly.
That's true.
Not long.
John, I have a question about weapons.
Yes. I hope I have an answer.
All right. If you are untrained in the art of swordsmanship, would it be better to just find your best baseball bat, or would you still want to have that sword? Which one's the better weapon if you're not trained?
Me personally, I would grab a stick, I think.
Yeah.
Baseball bat. Like everybody knows what a baseball bat feels like in your hands. You have never, no matter who you are, you have not lived this long without picking one up if you're able to.
Right.
So you know how that moves, how it feels. You know how to swing it really hard.
Right.
I was playing around with my sword the other day, and I did a little test cut on just a little piece of wood and yanked it right out of my hand, and I laughed and I laughed and I laughed because I wasn't expecting that. It's just like simple little cut, and it's like, whoa, what? If that happens when you're dealing with a whole bunch of hot animal machines, then that would be inauspicious.
That's a big way to say bad.
Yeah.
Very polite way.
So as a sword guy, would you elect to carry both your best favorite sword and a big stick, or
one or the other? And the Arkansas toothpick that Dr. Hanover uses is a good kind of combination, or something about this big, or
I still can't believe that's a knife.
Or this big, right? So this isn't super big.
Eddie?
This is like civilian defense, Chinese, like the Japanese are invading. Every farmer go out and turn your knife or your plows into a knife.
Yeah, that looks very civilian.
Huh.
Yeah, I can see myself barbecuing with it. Yeah. Right.
Cool.
Man, dude, those Chinese.
I have like that.
Yeah, something this big or shorter would be good with a stick, I think.
Okay, because I have a baseball bat and I have a knife. I don't have a knife that big. Like,
Is that a pencil?
That is a pen.
it's a,
What even saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Huh?
very nice. I actually have a baseball bat and I have I guess down at the farm there's a machete that we use for various things, but so I could grab that because I just have to assume that my family wouldn't survive very long. Don't look at yours. You know
Well,
what?
and, then you kind of have to ask yourself if you're prepared to cut up a human body and like what that looks like, right?
I think I could manage it.
And how much that would hurt the other person. You know, if you hit them with a baseball bat, they're probably just going to go to sleep, maybe forever. But
I mean,
Maybe forever. We don't know.
I don't think I mean, I never want to cut up a person, but I think if it came down to if you don't kill me, I'm gonna kill you kind of thing. Like if they're gonna try and kill me, I'm gonna try and kill them back, and I will chop them up with a machete. So
yeah,
like,
okay.
I'm at that point. Like I feel that if I reach the appropriate point of desperation, I would in fact be able to do it. I have chopped up many animals in my life, so
All right.
there's a point at which it just doesn't be. It's no longer that different, you know.
Yeah,
Felipe is like, who are these people? What is wrong with them?
Well, I was actually going to ask a philosophical question to the group, because we're all assuming that if there is an apocalypse, we're all going to be living in a scenario where we have to, kill or die.
Right.
And why is that so extreme? Why do you guys think that if society falls, not the world ends, because obviously
Right.
apocalypse doesn't necessarily mean the world ends, but if society falls, why do you guys think that we're going to become animals at each other's throats?
I don't personally. I actually mentioned that to Jeff earlier today when we were talking about this. I was like, that wouldn't happen. Society, we're like humans are social animals. Obviously, there's going to be a handful of outliers that are going to be psychos about it, but I don't think that would happen. I think we'd have more like a Turtle Island situation, but without the bad guys outside the gates.
But you would still cut up a human being.
If they were trying to kill me, I would try to kill them back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and, that might happen anywhere, anytime. I'd like to think that our better nature would show through sooner or later.
Right.
But I live in Georgia. There are a lot of people who wish people violence just for, who wish harm to other people just for religion or skin color or being liberal or,
America.
Just not agreeing. And these are people who, have been trained by our government to fight and kill. And they own shit tons of weapons. So I think there might be a period of some upheaval, and I think ultimately we would, get our shit together, but it would take some doing.
That's fair.
But I think what we also saw is that a lot of those guys with all the training and the weapons are also kind of big chickens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Here come the death threats.
Oh boy.
Don't come at John, guys. He's got a sword. He's got a bunch of swords.
I was going to say, not just one, because at least two.
But you know what?
We've got
distance is its own thing. They can shoot you from far away.
There you go. Got a couple of weapon suggestions in the comments here. Heather says a sturdy chopping machete, which
Yes,
was good choice.
Absolutely.
Katie
Got the
says,
right length. You know how it feels.
yeah, exactly. Katie suggested a Scottish claymore, and I feel like that would probably maybe be too heavy to carry around all the time because
Not for me.
Or it takes a lot of swinging. Check out those guns.
I've seen a claymore
two-handed sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I know anything from Skyrim, it's that claymore weapon.
It's a beast.
Video games teach important things, kids.
Yes, they do.
That's true.
I started learning English because of Super Mario. I was 7 years old.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I learned the word stars.
That's awesome.
Great. Well, let's see. Katie said that her apocalypse skill set is spinning wool, making fibers from nettles. I don't even know what that is. And
Wow.
she's how to even make basic clothes. That's something I can do. I can sew. So I can take Katie's wool and turn it into clothes. So.
Yeah, and all that stuff is way more important. You know, you got to have ways to tie things up and clothes to wear.
Now, actually, if you got a good, strong set of crafting skills, you may be the most important person in the cabal or the commune, not cabal, the commune. So yeah, so like I feel like now I'm feeling a little more confident in my place in the apocalypse world because I am a very I can craft and I can think outside the box. So
ironically, my
PhD.
I was gonna say, ironically, my skill set would be fishing, but it wouldn't do me any good in the viewing curse.
Right.
Shit.
There's no water, right?
So I would be useless if I was journeying with the redhead.
Bummer.
Bummer.
You created a world in which you have no use yourself. That's
Exactly. I should talk about that in therapy. I was like, what? Where did I go? Why did I go there?
that is self-esteem issue? I don't know.
You're like the wisecracking sidekick who just pulls levers, you know? Like you're like the comic relief.
Okay. Telegram and wisecracking pull lever Sancho Panza. Well, Sancho. Two great ideas.
Katie mentioned that if COVID taught me anything about a crisis situation, it's that people are going to hoard toilet paper and food. And holy shit, yes.
Yes.
Holy shit, that wasn't even planned.
I never understood the toilet paper situation. That was not something that happened in Brazil. I was like, why do Americans specifically need toilet paper? Like,
and no idea.
Wipe your ass.
Why?
You can take a shower and wipe your ass. You know.
It was like,
there's some books there that I don't need. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, is the free curse on that shelf?
My mom.
I have mine somewhere here.
My viewing curse is electronic. I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay, better. You can wipe your ass with it. Not comfortably, at least. You could, but not comfortably.
You know what I noticed? I didn't put two and two together until right this second, but there were tons of coffee filters on the shelves at the stores at the very same moment that toilet paper was nowhere to be found. And coffee filters are actually probably better than toilet paper because your finger won't go through them.
Okay, I still want to understand what was up with that, with the TV.
I don't know, dude.
What was it? What was that all about?
Americans be crazy. I don't know, man. I didn't want to hoard toilet paper. I just wanted to buy enough shit so that I only had to go to the store once a week. That's what I wanted at the beginning of all this. It's like, I just want to buy one package of toilet paper each time I go to the store. It can be a 4-pack. There's only 2 of us here. We can use a 4-pack. It's fine.
Yeah, we ended up having to buy toilet paper at like a janitorial supply website because there was nothing.
Oh wow!
And Lori, remember that I was telling you like we have literally 1 roll of toilet paper left and I don't know what to do. And you were like, oh, hang on, we've ordered from this janitorial supply, and then she goes to give you the link, and they're freaking out too. Yeah, oh, it's insane.
I don't understand that. Like we run out of water, of pasta in Brazil, like fruits and vegetables were gone like that. TP, you can find TP. It's fine.
Yeah, it's so weird.
There was flour, and sugar and stuff was missing from the shelves too, which I think was just suburban housewives wanted to bake banana bread because they had the time now.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of bananas, by the way. No fucking toilet paper, but we have bananas everywhere.
Yeah, we had a couple of weeks where all of the energy drinks were gone. There was like an energy drink shortage here.
Why?
People are crazy. I don't know, man.
Energy drinks straight up kill you.
They wanted to enjoy their free time playing video game. I don't know, late at night.
And drinking Monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a family of 4 with 2 teenagers. I bought toilet paper like just because I bought it before COVID really went bananas in March, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we ran out, it was back on the shelves. Like, so I just had lots. I wasn't trying to hoard it, y'all. I'm sorry. I think that might have, some of that was on me.
You just had a normal amount.
I just had a normal
I
amount.
went to Costco and I got 2 packs, those 48 rolls packs. I just got 2 of them,
My fault.
I actually ended up in the end, the way that we managed to survive was that I texted my parents and my sister, and I was like, "You guys, can you just give me 1 roll? Like, we just need something now."
I haven't got it spare to swear.
Well, my sister is like you, John, except that she is that way because she has 4 kids and a husband and people in and out of her house all the time that don't live there, and so she goes through just metric assload of toilet paper every month. I did it again, assload.
So easy.
Anyway, so my sister was like, just come down and take a pack. Take 2 packs. It's fine. And she had a fucking closet full. The closet under the stairs full of toilet paper. I mean, it's like, this is where all the toilet paper went, isn't it?
In the families of how.
Yeah, that's how I ended up making it through the initial shortage. That was the thing. And I didn't know that my sister, she's not a hoarder either. Like, that's just how much she needs to make it through a month. Fuck. And she lives in this like 180-year-old house. It's an old house, and the plumbing is garbage there. So, I've been down there. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 flushes when it's a number 1. So, like, make everything go down.
I don't want to use a lot of toilet paper.
I still want to connect the dots between running out of toilet paper and becoming violent animals, when it's either kill or die. Like, how do we get from one to another? There might be a good book in there, like a good graphic novel.
Well, and it might be as simple as that.
Of humanity.
It might not need a whole bunch in the middle. It might just be we ran out of toilet paper. Fuck you.
Yeah, that was the breaking point. It's like, I can't wipe my ass anymore, so fuck all of you guys.
So itchy and smelly, I'm killing.
Yeah, I can see that happen. The cheap society.
In the summertime, we have this plant that grows out here called velvet leaf.
Oh.
It's just a weed, and it's a big, like, it's like, I don't know, the really big ones are good.
I know the ones you're talking about.
And it's kind of a heart-shaped leaf. Now, don't use the flowers because they're prickly, but the velvet leaf is velvet, and I feel like it would be a suitable substitute. I'm just saying.
Skunk cabbage doesn't look bad.
This podcast really took a strange turn. Really.
The best way to, well, it's still apocalypse based. Like, at least we're talking about the best way to wipe your ass in apocalypse. But
well, is that something you ever thought about, Felipe? Like how people wipe their ass in The Few and Cursed? Is that something you?
How did people wipe their asses in the 1800s? I don't even know.
That was like rags. You had a rag, and it was your rag, and you hung it on a nail in the outhouse.
There you go.
And you kind of rinse it around in some water every now and then hang it down.
But he has no water.
Yes, exactly. When there is a shortage of water, well, you can always spit,
The water you can't be spit.
And I think Jonathan Swift wrote a poem where he was talking about his own books being used as asswipe in privies. And I think it was Swift, and I think he was saying that his books were being used, and I thought that was pretty good. So, what is that, early 1800s?
When the apocalypse happened
well, for Jonathan Swift, so that's like 1830s, maybe. Okay. I don't know.
Right. Well, that was pretty close. So the thinkers, the apocalypse happened in 1840s, and then 7 years have gone by. And here's the thing. The more I started thinking about the world I was creating, the more I started to cringe about some of the choices I made without thinking too hard about it, like ass wiping. I never thought about ass wiping. So I would just probably give a very honest answer to fans that would like, just, hey, take it as it is.
Yeah. you gotta You got to choose your battles.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
we
at some point, you know.
So,
But yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so cloth, a little bit of spit, you're good to go. You know.
I made a decision at one point to let them have coffee. Like everything is so bad. Everything is so like DIY. You got to grow your own, raise your own, kill your own, whatever. At least let them have some coffee. I don't know where it came from. And if anybody would like say, you know, how do these people in South Dakota, 15 years after the apocalypse, get coffee, John? I did it on purpose. I couldn't be that cruel.
There's actually a plant that I can't remember the name of the plant, but it's sold in some stores.
Chicory.
Yes, that can be grown up in this area, right? So
chicory's all right.
Yeah, it's I think I only ever had it once and it was okay. So
did you ever smoke cigarettes? It's like the difference between a Lucky Strike and every other cigarette. It's like, wait, whoa, that's weird. What is that? That's what chicory is like. Whoa, it's kind of like coffee, but it's kind of not. What is this?
Yeah, it's weird, but it could do the job in the pinch, right? And they could get chicory there. So anyway.
So the thing is, I actually had to make a very big adjustment because so when we did the first Few and Curse issue, so the tagline was "Water was gone overnight," and then we published the first issue. People started reading, and then I started getting bombarded with questions. Oh my God, there's no water. How are they gonna say? I was like, so the tagline from that moment on was like 90% of the water just disappeared overnight. And the more the series advances, the more water they find around the world. Because it is the basic thing for life. But the one thing I'm playing with right now is so you have like the wealthiest people, like the people with more, it's like well owners. So they found a well and they struck gold, that they struck riches, you know, and more and more I'm going to start doing these pockets of underground caves where there's still water, you know, so because there's too many questions. Like I didn't have answers. It's like, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to create something cool. Please.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people get so serious about this stuff too.
They do. They do.
Like,
oh yeah.
Lori, when the Surgeon 1 first came out, how many paragraphs did you get from weird horse ladies saying that old paint was not drawn correctly?
We got an odd amount of like comments about the horses. And I was like, they look like horses to me. I don't know what, like, I'll let the artist know, but like, they're like, well, the muscle here is like.
Oh God! And I talked to Zach about that too. I did. I talked about that to him once, and he is just like, it's a fucking horse. It's not the main character. Who the fuck cares? Like, well, and yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, as long as it looks passably like a horse, why do you fucking care? But
I always feel bad asking an artist to draw a horse. I mean, you go to art school and you study human anatomy. You don't study horse anatomy. And so they gotta go to all these references. And, you know, how does a horse look when it's?
You know, I never feel bad about asking artists to draw anything. You know,
just and you sleep at night. You just
these are the you know, like, oh, I wrote this double splash page with hundreds of characters. Hey, it took me like 5 minutes to write. Now it's
right.
Now it's your turn. Yeah.
700 horses.
I understand as somebody who grew up around horses. I understand the niggling little knowing that it's wrong, seeing it and going, okay, I can see that that's a horse, but it's not quite right. I can understand that, but as an artist and as somebody who enjoys stories, I'm just like, it's a horse. We know it's a horse. The horses don't play a huge, like, Old Paint does in the story, in the Surgeon, but like Old Paint has got slightly larger parts thus far. But the horses, like, you just need to know that they are horses. You don't, they're not part of the story. They're vehicles essentially in the story. So, like,
yeah, and honestly, And honestly, like we as creators, it's funny, like we have to think more about the macro than the micro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard for us to keep track of every little detail of everything we're writing. At some point, you just kind of let that go in service of the story. For me, that's where I want to go. For me, like I'm obsessed with character arcs, their motivations, story beats. That's where my obsession goes, not details. And I get it. Like for some people, and it's so cool to see that some people get so invested in something that you're creating that they just nag at that little detail and they want to know more about it. It's great, but sometimes we don't have the answers that one particular person is looking for because he's obsessing about something that we didn't even think too much about it in the first place, you know?
Right. And in the end, would you rather have an amazing story with some slightly anatomically incorrect horses, or would you rather have a piece of shit story with perfectly drawn horses? Like,
ooh.
So, I mean,
well, a horse well drawn is a thing of beauty, though. So
it's pretty sexy. I mean, like ask John Oliver.
It's a tough choice.
What's going to play better on Instagram?
That's true.
So have we figured out everybody's apocalypse jobs here? Because I feel like we need to do that. Make sure that we all know. Felipe is going to be the fisherman.
No, I think we established I'm the wisecracking Sancho, you know, just there to lighten the mood. You know, people are getting killed, and I'm like,
two things. That could be two things. You can be the wisecracker and the fisherman.
Unfortunately, though, I think that means you're one of the first to get killed, though, right?
You'll never know that, because if I'm entertaining everyone, not just my peers, you know, somebody for last.
Oh, yeah.
You never know, you know.
Fair. So, okay, and so Jeff, you're gonna handle the communications. John's gonna chop people up.
Well, you know, the whole idea for this.
Asked me if I could chop somebody up. Can you chop somebody up if push comes to shove?
Yeah, great question. I got to back up a little bit. So I studied martial arts for years and years, and then I decided to become a physical therapist assistant, like in the middle of it. And that's not unusual. A lot of people who are in martial arts like get into medicine or vice versa. You know, and you learn things that feel good and things that feel bad, things that could help somebody and things that could, you know, kill them. In the same interest, right? I have debated whether I would want to be able to, you know, straight up stab somebody and watch them die on the end of my sword. I don't want to. I'd rather just put them to sleep with a baseball bat.
Maybe forever.
Yeah, maybe forever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't relish the thought.
No. See, that's why after I said that I could do it, I would not. That would not sit well with me after it was done.
Yeah.
If I could do it and I did do it, it would not sit well with me. I'm not somebody. I talk a lot of game, but I'm not somebody who wants to hurt other people.
Yeah, I feel like all that becomes easier if they're zombies. Like that just gets rid of that. Like or zombies. Nazis. Like I'm fine with that. Like we.
Yeah,
Nazis,
that's why
vampires. You can kill them.
That's probably why zombies and whatnot are the preferred apocalypse. Like there's not a lot of mainstream apocalypses that are just something bad happened and now people have to find a way to survive. There's a couple of them.
I do have to ask though, Johnny, when you mean vampires, do you mean like the gorgeous vampires from like the Twilight Saga, or like nasty vampires? Because I would have a hard time killing, you know, gorgeous looking vampires, you know.
You don't.
I'd be like, no, they're vampires, but they look so good, you know.
I mean, like in terms of
killing Robert Pattinson.
In terms of like
smoke son of a bitch.
Video game or fiction, I don't feel bad about killing them in my mind when I imagine killing vampires, right? But yeah, the sympathetic vampires too, like the ones who have lived a long time and they're not really bad people. like that Jim Jarmusch vampire movie with Tilda Swinton in it. So
Oh yeah.
they were sweet. I like those guys. I wouldn't want to kill them.
Well, and like,
You would like to chop those up.
yeah, like Interview with the Vampire. I've read the
Yeah.
book. Movie
What's that?
yeah, Lestat's kind of a dick, but Louis and the Spanish one, the one that Antonio Banderas played.
I don't remember the name.
What's his name? Anyway, yeah, he was a more like they still ate people, so that like if you're going to try and suck my blood, then I am going to try and kill you.
How about Nazis?
How about what?
Nazis. Can we just agree that Nazis we
can agree on Nazis, I guess. But again, they do have the same conundrum that vampires poses, you know.
Yeah.
As in, they can be really good looking. So I guess close your eyes and pass away, maybe.
Yeah, especially with all the blue eyes and blonde hair. You know, oh man, you're gorgeous.
You know,
You beautiful son of a bitch.
I mean, the little thingy, yeah, that you can just. But you know, like,
yeah.
You know,
I have no problem getting rid of anybody who has one of those dumb little mustaches, or even like the porno mustache, like the big thick thing.
Charles Chaplin, you know, you wouldn't kill Chaplin.
Yeah, but that was a thing in his day. Like I'm talking about now. Anyone with a mustache and no beard is definitely a child molester.
Again, taking new turns, you know.
We find some profile pictures of me with mustache.
What I was gonna say, I think John's had a mustache. What about Magnum PI?
I know.
Come on.
Magnum PI, Tom Selleck, classic.
Tom Selleck.
Awesome.
It was cool in the 80s. It was cool in the 80s. I'm talking about now.
Okay, because Tom Selleck looks terrible without a mustache.
He
like
does.
it doesn't look right.
Weird. It's like a turtle. You know, he looks like a turtle.
Yeah, it's not good.
Pointing that out, my own father has like if he clean cuts, he looks like a psychopath. Like like he's got his upper lip is like so weak, and he needs the hair to make him not stupid. So
harsh.
So am I going to kill my own father? Now I've got that dilemma on my hands. But right now he has a goatee, so I don't really have to worry about that. He's got a goatee and maybe some stuff on the cheeks. I haven't seen my dad in like a year, so I don't actually remember. I don't remember what my family looks like, okay?
It's fine.
So yeah. Katie on Facebook here said, if we have multiple jobs as well as the weaving, I do have a longbow. Katie, you're gonna have to practice with the longbow. Get good at it. She says, I'm not sure I'm good enough yet to just hunt with one, but I could probably use it defensively. I also know how to make houses out of cob, which is straw and mud. I didn't know that. I can build dry stone walls to keep in livestock too.
Yeah, you're on the team, definitely.
Yeah, Katie's leading the team. Holy crap. Yeah. That's crazy.
I'll follow her around. Yep.
Definitely knowing. And I actually have like I said, grew up on a farm, so I can help with that livestock crap. I was always more into the animal husbandry than the machinery. Like my brothers were very much into the machinery, but I was into the animal care, so I know about that. I could help with that.
Kinda that I have. I'm a pretty decent Warzone player, you know. I do all right. I kill some people online. If I can get, you know, accustomed to the weight of the gun, maybe, you know, and I don't know.
Yeah, with some practice, right?
Yeah, maybe. I'll start hanging out at gun ranges, I guess.
At what we need here, viewers and participants here, we might need somebody who knows how to make toilet paper. Anybody know how to do it?
Otherwise, things start going south pretty quick.
Yes, clearly
at
least for America, is that lack of toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, something I mentioned earlier, how we need to get hip to the bidet, and
yes, and Steven, Astian ZC. I don't know why you guys got to put initials at the ends of your names on there.
That's just Steve. You can call him Steve.
Yeah, I knew it's Steven because I remember his it's the same name as the other situation, but yeah, that Americans need to figure out bidets. A 32 pack of paper lasts me 6 months, and I was like, yes, but that was what my he just said because Astian was taken. Okay, fair enough. But I was just thinking that the reason that we had the toilet paper crisis, I think, was because America as a whole, we have no backup plan. Like, if you don't have toilet paper to wipe your butt, what are we going to do? Like, we don't have, the average household does not have a bidet. The average household, and we are such a weirdly, like, our culture is so gross here for so many things. But then when it comes to butt stuff and bodily fluids, we're like, wipe my butt with a washcloth and then reuse the washcloth? Are you out of your mind? And it's weird too, because also I've noticed this personally within my small social circle that like baby poop and animal poop are not in the same class as adult humans.
Close.
Yeah, like you can wipe an animal with a washcloth or a baby with a washcloth and
eating
throw
a
that
taco, changing a diaper.
Yeah, well, it's like you can clean and reuse that washcloth. Is where I'm going with that. Like, but if it's an adult that wiped their butt with that washcloth, then you have to burn it and discard the ashes and say the sign of the cross and stuff. Like, you can't just wash and reuse that washcloth. It's done. But if it's a baby, if you're wiping a baby's butt with a washcloth, or if you're cleaning up animal poo with a washcloth, that washcloth is still reusable. Why? What's so different about the adult human's poop that is not about the baby poop? What is that? Is that a thing? Is that a thing for your guys' like social circles? Like, is that a thing? Because I noticed that's a thing for me personally, and I don't know if that's a thing for everybody or if that's just.
I work with old people with neurological issues. Poop happens in my life. There's some poop around.
Around.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I think we should leave it at that. I think it's a good.
Let's just yeah. We'll keep the whole toilet paper question in the back of our minds forever now. Sure. We don't need to
circle back. We'll circle back.
Yeah, we probably spent more on this live stream alone discussing the toilet paper situation. So, Mike Dolan on Facebook said, "I've always assumed my apocalypse job is zombie speed bump, being a slow and easy target that zombies will take down first, so the rest of the team can escape while that's happening."
We're not going to let that happen to you.
That's not your only.
Oh, hold on! Don't jump into conclusions. It might be useful. The wisecracking guy might need a speed bump for zombies. Just.
Heather says that's you're gonna have to specify after I'm done here, Heather, but like that's really similar to the strategy of hiking in grizzly country.
Yeah.
Like the entirety of apocalypse prep.
You don't have to be faster than the grizzly, you just have to be faster than the other people you're with.
Yes.
Oh yeah, gotcha. I remember
that just reminded me of the rules of the zombie apocalypse, like Zombieland.
Oh,
man, those are fun.
Yes, definitely, yeah. And those are probably useful too.
They are very useful. The cardio one, very useful,
Oh yeah. So I'm not going to worry about the cardio thing because I'm on so many prescription drugs that my heart will just explode if I try and run more than 30 feet. So I'm just going to assume that someone else is going to get me to the point where I can be useful to the team later.
Like a speed bump. So I'm not the only one that would make use of that sacrifice. Are you
going to let him talk to me that way?
We won't let it happen.
It won't happen.
I remember going up to visit Lori and doing the grizzly country hiking. There we go. And I was playing it off as a joke, but I was like low-key kind of nervous about that. And then when we were on our way back, there was this very large black Labrador coming towards us on the path, and I almost shit my pants. They hyped up this whole, like, Heather did and Lori did and Eric did, and I think even Eric's dad might have a little bit. They really hyped up this whole grizzly black bear thing. It wasn't grizzlies. I think it was black bears.
So what is that? You just go hiking to find bears? Is that?
No, it's just the risk. It's the risk that there are bears.
John is like, no. You got this all wrong. No.
You don't want to see the bears.
Okay.
When you come up over a hill, you say, "Hey, bears, here I come." And let them have
I
a
was
chance
just
to get out.
curious, because you guys were talking about the grizzly hiking. I was like, okay, so what's that? Like, is it like a safari? Like you're actively looking to see some grizzlies from a distance, maybe, or up close, if that's your thing,
I would never.
No, thanks.
I would never have agreed to a hike in which that was the objective. But now I'm starting to question Lori and Eric's motives because they're the ones that took me on that trip.
No, Eric is terrified of grizzly bears. Like that's been. Oh, you want me to show them this? This is some bullets we have here.
Oh yes.
Bear killing gun.
The size for bears. This is for bears.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is
Not
huge.
people, bears.
Well, I'm sure you can use those for people too, right?
They bounce right off people.
I'm not saying anything, but yeah.
Well, you probably want to use the smaller ones for humans and save the big ones for the bears, probably. And moose are fucking mean. Have you guys ever been up close to a moose? They're enormous. They're like the size of small houses, and they're mean.
They're very dangerous.
They're moose. But I don't know if you can eat bears. Like, are bears tasty? And I know you can eat a moose, but can you eat a bear?
People do.
Yeah.
And the witch doctors.
We'll skin the bear and make a jacket out of it.
The old Appalachian, magic ladies used to render the fat, and they could read your future from the way the bear fat rendered.
Cool. Do you know how to do that? That could be your apocalypse.
I could find somebody who knows how to do that.
All right, cool.
We'll bring that person too.
Yeah, get on that and message me because I'm building a database now.
For apocalyptic people, is that the database?
Yeah.
What job everybody has in the apocalypse? So okay, I suppose we have probably been completely off topic for far long enough. So, Katie, why do you got to go and do that? Katie just made the mention of potential zombie bears. Why you got to do that, Katie?
Oof.
They would want to eat zombie bear. They would want to eat bear brains. Though.
I don't want to eat the zombie bear.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yes,
Would
it
the
is.
zombie bears? I have never thought of that. What the hell?
Wait, okay, repeat it. I don't think I heard it.
I need a minute.
Wouldn't zombie bears want to eat bear brains?
Instead of human brains.
Makes sense to
Walking
me.
Dead vampires eat.
Well, hold on. Now I have another question. Do zombies want any kind of flesh or just human flesh? Like, would they be happy eating an elephant?
Right.
This is where you have, like, when you're talking about specific zombie universes, you have the answer to that. But, like, if zombies actually happened, would they even eat flesh at all?
Yeah.
Like the zombies in The Walking Dead, they want to eat anything that's alive. Like they murdered the shit out of that horse in the first episode, and they started to eat that deer that Daryl shot, and etc. Like they ate all of the people that they caught. They didn't just eat their brains. But then the Night of the Living Dead, they just needed brains specifically, right?
So as a rule of thumb, though, as a general rule, zombies go for flesh.
Right.
So technically, if you could grow livestock, duly noted.
They are the shittiest apocalypse monster, in my opinion. Zombies.
I'm just brainstorming here that you could keep zombies, like for instance, the Jurassic Park keeps velociraptors, right?
Right. You just like drop the livestock in.
What could go wrong?
And then you would be safe from zombies. Just keep feeding them like, animal meat, like elephants, bears.
They eat it. They don't know any better.
You gotta eat it. Like,
But then knowing us, like we actually would create an amusement park and then shit would go wrong. Like that's what would happen with humanity, right? Like it would start as that scenario. Like it would start intelligently and then some rich guy would be like, well, we need to do this, but we need to charge for people to watch it.
Yep. And that same guy would think, oh, we're not going to make the same mistakes those guys did, you know, because
that's the
nobody ever.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're coming up on that and running out of time completely here. So,
okay.
Let's, while John is pulling up the surgeon total for now, see if we got any card since the beginning. But Felipe, do you want to give us another very quick recap of your current Kickstarter and where we can find it?
Sure. So current Kickstarter is One Eye Jack Volume 2, but we also have Volume 1 available with combos. One Eye Jack is a very necessary essay on humanity, morals, and uses the Las Vegas shooting that happened in 2017 as the backdrop for that. So the creator of the TV show CSI, Anthony Zeiker, he came up with this very thrilling narrative about the shooting and the legacy of that shooting for everyone involved. And so, yeah, One Eye Jack, I would highly recommend. Features gorgeous watercolor art by Brown. It's a beautiful book. And yeah, come check it out. One Eye Jack on Kickstarter.
And is that if we go to Kickstarter.com and just search One Eye Jack, we're going to find it easy?
Yes, I would think so. I hope so. But yeah.
Heather, and on Facebook, very helpfully did just post the link there. I can show it to you guys here, but you're not going to be able to click it. So
thank you so much, Heather. Appreciate it.
Heather is awesome. Heather's fabulous. Jeffrey, do you have any parting thoughts on ham radio and the zombie apocalypse?
Well, I wanted to share one website. If you're interested in becoming a ham radio dude in the United States, you can visit hamstudy.org. That's a resource for free study materials on how to get your license.
Sorry? Is that HAMSTUDY.org?
Yep, just how it sounds. HAMSTUDY.org. And there's the Wikipedia also has a great page on amateur radio in general too. So you can any other information. Another important organization in ham radio is ARRL.org. I think it stands for Amateur Radio Relay League. They're a big supporter of the ham radio community with the government. So they're not government run, but they are big in that. So I just wanted to share that too.
Thanks for the information. This was really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Glad. Thanks for inviting me.
And I have hamstudy.org up, and I'm going to get into another
hobby
project that I desperately need to get into.
Yet another thing to do. Lori is having technical difficulties again, so I guess John,
I hope it's not there.
So the person didn't pick up a single dollar during the live stream.
Nothing? Bummer. I don't think Lori, she did mention she's been having internet issues for like a week and a half or more, even 2 weeks even. It may be very related, but I don't think it's the internet via the Bears rather than the Bears directly. So I think we're still okay on that.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
And let's fingers crossed it's not a zombie bear, because that's no.
Yeah,
so the Surgeon Kickstarter, while we were online, did not meet the goal. We're $100 and something away. And you know, I was wondering, I typically do a moderately risky stunt in celebration of making the goal early.
Hello, Lori.
Hello, Lori.
Zombie Bears did not get Lori. We are good, everybody.
Yes.
And one of the things that kept coming up in the script was Dr. Hanover throwing her smaller knife, and And I know that throwing a knife is actually really difficult. And I did some research on it. And there's like equations to determine the distance from your target based on the size of your knife and the size of your arm and how much rotation so that you can actually stick it.
Oh, wow.
And I tried with my Arkansas toothpick a couple times, and I fucked it up. It's all lit up. I'm not going to be doing an Arkansas toothpick throwing trick because my toothpick is busted. So I have some throwing knives, and I'm continuing to train. But I will do a throwing knife related trick in celebration when we beat the goal.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Are you gonna set us up so that we can see it on live stream here, or are you just gonna record it and post it?
So where I have the freedom to throw knives again and again and again and again as a piece of woods where I don't get good cell reception, so I'd have to record it.
Well, as long as it happens, that's
I will record honestly and candidly, though. If there are failures, when there are failures, we can all laugh together.
Yes.
Perfect.
And I know how far away the nearest emergency room is.
You are going to go out into the woods alone, right? Like somebody's going as a camera person also.
So my 13-year-old son is traditionally my cameraman. He was more into it when he was younger. Now he's 13 and he thinks I'm stupid.
Right.
Aww.
But when he was younger, he was really into it. I don't know. So I might have to take a tripod, either a 13-year-old kid or a tripod.
Well, I mean, maybe take somebody with a driver's license in case the emergency room does become involved.
Yeah, well, actually, this piece of property is really near my dad's house. I could just yell and
So it's okay. Okay.
As long as you're safe.
Precautions have been
as long as
taken.
it's not a throat wound, that should be fine.
So, does anybody have any final thoughts? Lori, do you have anything to say before your internet goes again? Before the zombie bears get to the internet?
No, not really. Back the surgeon. We're almost funded. Back One Eye Jack. I'm gonna go back it right now because all of Felipe's books are amazing. Like, guys, trust me. Like, you know that. Yeah, they're great. So.
Yes. I am definitely going to get into that because The Few and the Curse sounds amazing, and I definitely need that in my life.
Few and the Curse is the only one I know, and I love it. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny. I think I have a couple of, I know I have at least one surgeon here for sure, because I was organizing my Kickstarter books last week, and I found surgeons like, oh my God, I got to pick up the other books. I just got to check if I have one or two or just the one. But it sounds and looks very, very interesting.
I can hook you up.
I want to see you throw the knives and get yourself hurt. I mean, just throw the knives.
Yeah, me too.
And if you have a picture,
You can think some bitch.
too. All right. So thank you very much, Felipe and Jeff and John and Lori and me. I thank you to you all you Y chromosomes, I guess, for coming and talking about your various projects and your various apocalypse skills. And I hope.
Efficient.
I had the whole thing in my head, and it was like right there for me to rehearse and derailed the train. You derailed another train.
I did.
You derailed it.
I had to have the last disaster, before logging off.
Take back my thinking.
Sorry.
Yes, no. Thank you, and I hope that you guys can come and talk with us some other time on some other episode of UHS Presents. And to all of the viewers who have stuck it through the whole 1 hour and 35 minutes with us, thank you. And like and share. Like us on go and subscribe on YouTube so that we can change our YouTube name because it's driving us nuts. And subscribe on Twitch and stuff too, but like especially YouTube. And we will see you on the next episode. So good night.
Jeff, thanks for coming. Thanks for
Thank you so much,
handing it
guys.
up.
I appreciate the invites. And thanks, Jeff. I'll be honest, I did not know what a ham radio was because